And welcome back to the Market Wolf. I am the Market Wolf, where I give you the best bear case, the best bull case, and I give you my opinion. We are currently looking at Bitcoin. It is 1:25 p.m. Central Time, Sunday, January 28th, and Bitcoin is sitting at $41,954.16. And if you take a look at the weekly time frame here, you'll see this hammer candle gives us some hope of a breakup. As you can see, we hit the range, the zone, exactly where I said we would last week. We got the bounce. I warned you that it could go down further to possibly 37,000, all the way down to possibly 35,000, but that was the most I could see it breaking. I told you this was our first support area right here, and my case maintained. Other people were telling you this is going to go down to $30,000. Could it? But yeah, possibly, but not within a week and not in the short run. There's a lot of emotion right now. A lot of people were ready for the big pump, then it didn't happen, and they got emotional and sold off. And then those that hung on, people are saying, get out, it's going down to $30,000. Did it? No. So, it's best to watch the chart, pay attention to the charts, watch your levels of support, subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. Okay, and we're going to keep you in the loop here. The best bull case is this thing breaks up to the upside. Though I think it'll be a weak breakup. I think the most it could possibly do is get roughly there at around, let's say max at $44,342.96, somewhere in that range. It could test all the way to the top of this purple descending upward resistance line that just goes all the way back on Bitcoin. So, you could see maybe like, let's see, what is that? Roughly about $46,920.12, maybe a test in that area to the upside. So pay attention to that. I think that move will be weak. I think it will break down. My opinion for this week is a combination of the bear case and kind of a side chop. Let's talk about the bear case first. I think the bear case is that you try to get a little momentum to the upside here that fails, breaks down, and comes back down to test this channel again and see if we really want to be here or not. And odds are, the way it's looking right now, it looks like we really don't want to be here right now. So I think there's a back test in order of $40,304.14, somewhere in that range. Possibly another quick wick down and through, just barely through that channel. We'll have to see. So my opinion is also right there, although I think we could have some side chop. My opinion is kind of a combination of bear and side chop this week. I would just say, in terms of my opinion, watch out for another test in that range at the bottom of this ascending channel, and keep a careful eye that we don't break through and test that 20-day moving average on the weekly at about roughly $37,749.51. So pay attention there, because that's really going to test this range and see, do we really want to be here or do we want to break out? If we do manage to hold this area, I have to keep a close eye and see if people are really filtering back in, if we see institutions making buys, what's going to happen here. So that's the bear case, that's the bull case, that's my opinion on Bitcoin. I apologize on Quant. My chart is an absolute mess, but it's a mess for a reason, because I'm keeping up with what's going on. And we broke down exactly where I told you we would. We came to that $100 range again, roughly $100.01. So, and then we got bounce, we got support, and we've been testing the top side of this resistance line this week, and we are going to have to see if we can maintain there. Let's take a look at the 2-hour time frame just so we can get a better idea of what might be going on here. And like I'm saying, just on Bitcoin as well, we also have to watch Quant here, because it does look like It is trying to possibly break down more in the short term. We certainly do seem to be headed back down again. This could be on the 2-hour time frame, putting in a head and shoulders pattern, which would take us back down to that $100 level again, and that's definitely something to watch. And so that's really right now in the short term your best bear case. Could we break down further? Absolutely. Let's take a look at the 4-hour time frame just so we can get a better feel for this. And yeah, it is not looking great. Let's take a look at the daily. To a certain degree you might be able to call this consolidation, but really it's amounting to consolidation to the downside. I would not be surprised, in my opinion, to see us potentially break down to that $96 level. Let me check one other thing. And ladies and gentlemen, it is not looking great for Quant right now in the immediate short term, and maybe a little bit in the medium term here. It looks like we're gonna probably at some point in the long term retest some areas to the downside, especially getting rejected where we're getting rejected right now. Things just aren't looking great. I think your best bull case is that by some miracle you're able to maybe come back down to about $102 and right about there, and then get a good volume push, and push us through some of these big levels of resistance and get back up and top into this ascending channel here. So if we can get back on top of this dashed line, which is support right here, at $112, then you can start talking about trying to regain $116 and take back $119 at that point. I think that is your best bull case to test and regain some of those areas. It's going to require some buyers to step in. I think your best bear case is a breakdown to $96. Personally, my opinion, I think we test 100. And then from there, it's tough to tell because it's really a matter of, do we get support there or not? But that's what I would say in the short term to watch for. And I do get the sense, just based on what I'm seeing on Bitcoin, based on what I'm seeing here, that we might revisit that $96 level. Although, don't bank on that. But those are the levels you want to watch on breakdown on Quant. So I did tell you to pay attention to this range right here on Tesla, that I believed it was going to break into it, and it did eventually break into that range. Do we continue to break down in the short term? It is possible, although I think after the weekend everybody has settled, everybody has really kind of had time to think about this. I wouldn't be surprised to see an emotional response that really doesn't correlate to anything we're seeing on the charts here, where you see some flooding back in to some degree. So we might actually retest 193.69. I think you could see a small bear flag form in this area, possibly, just like I said last week, a retest of this downward trending support line here, which is actually a large channel that we've been breaking down into for quite a while now. So we could test that again before we decide to finally break back up and retest old levels and retest the death cross that's up here. So the best bull case for Tesla really is that people have that emotional response in the opposite direction. They step right back in, and you see some anomalies on the chart, just like we did last week when everybody was selling, and perhaps we back test higher all the way to maybe even $207.03 up to the upside. My opinion is what's likely going to happen is we will see some chop and a bear flag form on Tesla here, probably, and this is a broad range, but this is likely what we'll see is, yeah, I mean, it's possible we could revisit $151.84. That's certainly a possibility. We do have, I mean, if you purely just go by the charts, there is a lot of building downward momentum, but Tesla is just oversold to such a degree here that I really think we see a little bit of relief, a small bear flag, and then if we're going to continue to break down, we will see that. But I do think you're going to get a bear flag in a range, certainly from about $169 to about that $193 level. Could that bear flag break down further? It could. If you saw it break this downward channel, this white line, and you'd be watching for $151.84 at that point, and you'd be looking to see if you get support there. If you break there, that is no bueno, okay? That is like something you really, really don't want to see. Your support after that is $109.12, and I really believe at that point you would see a lot of buyers stepping back in. I just don't see that, you know, everybody's going to be spooked off of Tesla. The earnings wasn't that bad this time, even though there was some downside there. It made big progress compared to its last earnings report. So if you're in Tesla right now and you're trying to figure out what to do, I really think that a back test, at least at some point, at least to maybe about the $218.30 level, is in the cards. So you know, don't be careful about your position and what you decide to do, but those are the levels. Okay, so let's take a look at the S&P 500 here. As you can see, we have been moving up exactly as I predicted last week. And as for now, I don't see too much difference. In fact, on the S&P 500, I think although it's weak momentum at this point, I do believe it is possible that we will get to about $505.29. That remains my opinion for now until I see something just really drastic happening. You know, you can look at the S&P 500 and say, well, it's almost oversold on all time frames for the most part, and that's true, but that's not completely true on the monthly time frame. And the S&P 500 can chop bullish for a long time on all time frames, while it just cools on some of those lower time frames and then continues on its merry way up. So as of right now, my opinion is that's your bull case. In my opinion, your best bull case is that you could break all the way up to about $560.67, and then you would see possibly a bit of a blow off top, retesting the 20-day on the weekly, that kind of thing, which doesn't even mean anything terrible as of yet. So even on the best bear case for the S&P 500 right now, if you were to see it to break down to $459.93 or $458.19, that's not something to be concerned about. Honestly, even if it broke all the way down to $441.55, not something to be overly concerned about right now. That could just be a simple back test to see, do we really want to continue here or not? And right now, things are just looking so good. It is hard not to be bullish, even though, you know, there's a lot of greed in the market right now. So do keep that in mind. Watch those levels carefully. Finally, on WTI oil, I can tell you we're basically doing exactly what I said we would do. We were back testing the area where that death cross occurred on the daily time frame. We're sitting at $78.98 right now on WTI Crude. I am not overly impressed with this move up so far. I suspect that it will probably get rejected in the short term, and we're in for possibly a little more chop. I think we could come down to about the $73 area, 41 cents, somewhere in there. but then I wouldn't be surprised to go up again to that $77, $78 range, and then make an attempt to get on top of the triangle to maybe about $82. Of course, that's a longer term case, and it depends on how things really go in the market right now. Remember though, you know, that's looking for a breakout, but right now things do still appear weak to me at this point in time. I do think that there is the possibility that, you know, we could have a breakout again to that top side. So that's my opinion. I mean, if you were to go in, let's say you wait for this to break down a bit and then you go in, let's say maybe you catch it at the 20-day moving average on the weekly, somewhere around there in that range, and you want to go to the top of this, you could get about 10% maybe. You could roughly make about 10% on a swing trade there. So I do think, though, we have to pay attention to the broader idea here of what's been going on with oil. It has been breaking down since March of 2022, and that is the large trend, so that's what you need to pay attention to. Of course, we have been on this uptrend since March of 2023, and, you know, so we're really in this triangle right now consolidating. We'll have to see if we're going to break out or not. Generally, what I'm hearing in the markets is very, very mixed right now. The data is all over the place. I think everybody's just waiting to see, do we continue to have breakdown? Oil typically is a pretty good indicator of that, so watch your levels. I think your best bull case is as I laid out there. Your best bear case is that we fail here completely and we don't even bother to get support here, and we just continue to come all the way down and test the bottom of this uptrend that we have been on, maybe roughly at $69 to $70, just depending on where we're at as this moves on the weekly. But really more likely that would be, let's be precise here, probably about $68 or so to test that again. So that's your best bear case, that's your best bull case. That's my opinion. Subscribe to the channel, hit that like button. We'll see you next time on The Market Wolf.